So 2020 was a pretty bad year in many different ways, but I think we can all agree that at least musically, it was actually kinda aight. I mean, we didn't get no new Kendrick album or no Cole album and no new NF, but we did get Man on the Moon 3 and Jack Harlow's debut album, so I'd say this year was actually pretty hot. That being said, I took it upon myself to listen to most of, if not all, the important albums that dropped this year. Now, I will say that I missed a couple of albums, but that's mostly because I didn't want to keep listening to all this music. Because, surprisingly enough, when all the artists are locked in, they drop a lot of music. It was crazy, man. A lot came out this year, so I couldn't do it all. So please forgive me if I missed something that you wanted to hear about. But anyway, now that that's out of the way, let's talk about some music. And to start off, we're going to talk about one of my favorite albums of the year, No Pressure. Supposedly, the final album of our favorite Oreo cookie, Common Sense. And No Pressure is a very chill album, and listening to it for the first time is such an experience and a relief because after his last two albums, we really needed this. This album was very well put together, and for the most part, everything just felt right, like it should be there. However, I know that a lot of people have also pointed this out, but the song Perfect really doesn't feel like it belongs on here, but it's not like it ruins the album or anything. It's still a good song either way, so everything just works out. And I mean, it works out very well. Personally, my favorite songs on this album are easily Amen and Hit My Line. Those songs are very good as part of the album, and just listening to them on their own is also a really nice experience. So, all in all, I'd give this album an 8 out of 10. I remember I had it on repeat for like a whole month after it came out, and the very first time I listened to it, I'm not gonna lie to you, I cried when I finished the last song. So this album easily makes my top 3 albums of the year. And coming up next, this album is actually very controversial. Whole Lotta Red by Playboy Cardi. Fans waited 2 years for this, and everybody hated it. And to tell the truth, I wasn't a Playboy Cardi fan to begin with, so I didn't really like it either. I mean, this album felt so much longer than just 1 hour and 3 minutes. And finding motivation to listen to it all the way through was hard considering he literally put the worst song on the album first. However, to be fair, the features on this album were pretty good, not gonna lie. But for me, that's really not enough to make this an enjoyable album. I have not listened to it since. But from what I hear, it's really grown on a lot of people, but no amount of bass is going to make me want to listen to this again. You know, for me, this is a 4 out of 10. Moving on to yet another disappointment, Eternal Take. Now, Lil Uzi really let me down with this one. I was really expecting so much more out of this album, but it's not like it was terrible. I was just let down. So I really don't have much to say about this album. All the songs that I actually thought were pretty good were the only ones that actually got popular, which is rare these days, so I guess that's cool, but yeah, I just don't have much to say, so let's move on. By the way, 6 out of 10 for the Lil Uzi album. By the way, I'd like to apologize for what I've done to your ears there. I don't know what I was thinking when I put that into the video, but this is my sincere, very sincere apology. I don't think I've ever given a more sincere apology before. So if you something happened to your ears and you can't hear this, I'll put some text in. I'll pay for the medical bill. I'm sorry, headphone users. I really am. Let's just continue. And next, I want to talk about Shoot for the Stars and Aim for the Moon by Pop Smoke. And this album really surprised me because it wasn't one that I was expecting to like as much as I did. Like, I was never really a Pop Smoke fan, not because I disliked his music, but he just never really got my attention. But I started listening to this album, and I gotta say, it was one of the best albums of the year, easily. For me, there's definitely no bad songs on this album, and my personal favorite is Gangstas. This album really reminded me of 50 Cent. I don't know if that's just me, but it did. And all in all, I think it was a really well put together album, and I give it an 8 out of 10. And now I want to switch up the genres a little bit and talk about Taylor Swift's Evermore. And much like Shoot for the Stars, Aim for the Moon, this album really surprised me because I was never really into Taylor Swift or any of her music, that genre in general just never really grabbed my attention. But this album was genuinely really good. It's something that I could really just listen to through the late night, you know what I'm saying? I mean, this album has absolutely zero skips, and my personal favorite songs are Willow, Nobody No Crime. That song's kind of weird, but I really do like it. Coney Island is definitely my favorite off the album, and I good too. So yeah, I definitely recommend it. This album, a 7.5 out of 10. Really good. I have no complaints. It definitely exceeded my expectations. So moving on from that, I want to talk about Man on the Moon 3. After a 10-year wait, Kid Cudi finally made it. The end of the trilogy, and I am more than satisfied. And before we talk about the music, can we just take a second to appreciate the cover art for this? I mean, Sam Spratt is such a talented artist and he deserves a lot more attention. But right now, that's besides the point. What we're talking about right now is the music. And boy, is the music good. The vibes that this album gives off are so versatile. You could play this album while you're chilling alone in your room, or when you get past the aux chord, you could play any other songs on here and it would work. They are all bangers, zero skips, and it's got music for everybody. My personal favorite songs off the album are definitely Tequila Shots, Elsie's Baby Boy, and September 16th. And also, the Pop Smoke feature on Show Out is really good. I seriously enjoyed that song as well. This is an album that I would really recommend to anyone. My score is 8 out of 10. And now I want to talk about yet another album that seriously impressed me, Legends Never Die by Juice WRLD. Because again, I was never a Juice WRLD fan. Like, I didn't dislike him. I had mad respect for him because I knew he was a really great rapper, but his music just really wasn't for me. But, this album seriously impressed me. I really enjoyed it from start to finish. Absolutely zero skips on this album. And I also like that there's 22 songs, but the album is not even an hour long. It's 58 minutes and 48 seconds. I really like that because that means there's a lot of different songs, a lot of music that you can enjoy on here without having to sit there listening to an album for like an hour and a half to 2 hours. And I haven't really decided on my favorite songs from here because I really liked all of them quite a lot. Honestly, there's not really any songs that I'm like, that's really not for me. I feel like they were all pretty solid songs. So you won't get anything like that out of me, but my score is a 7 out of 10 for this album. And to follow up with that, let's talk about another highlight album of the year, Jack Harlow's debut album, That's What They All Say. And this was an album that I was really looking forward to, but to tell the truth, I was a little bit disappointed. It wasn't bad, honestly. Like, there was some enjoyable songs on here, but I feel like there wasn't anything notable to say about it, the album. It was Jack Harlow, the same energy that he's always brought, that we all love and enjoy. That's what he brought with this album, but I don't think that it was anything memorable or anything great. My favorite song by far is Face of My City with Lil Baby. That song was really good. I've had that on repeat. I added it to my playlist. It's a really good song, but apart from that, I feel like all the other songs were just not really notable. Um, nothing about this album really stood out. So I was a little let down, but I wasn't disappointed either. So I kind of got what I expected, like the bare minimum of what I expected. That's what I got out of this album, and that might be the same for a lot of other people. So yeah, total score 7 out of 10. Moving on. And we'll actually be moving on to one of the most iconic albums of 2020, Savage Mode 2 by 21 Savage and Metro Boomin. And let me say, I feel like everybody was really looking forward to this, including me, and I don't even listen to 21 Savage, and I gotta say, I was not let down at all. From start to finish, every song was an absolute banger. The features on here were incredible as well. Like, I have no negative things to say about this album. It's not perfect, and then by any means, there's no such thing as a perfect album, but I have zero complaints. And also, the fact that they got Morgan Freeman in on this was incredible. I really enjoyed the interlude and everything that Morgan Freeman did on this album. It was just really great. I mean, there's nothing bad to say about this album from me. And I mean, Snitches and Rats, easily like one of the best songs, maybe my favorite song. There's also Glock on my in my lap and Mr. Right Now. There's are all really good songs. Let me know what your favorite songs are. There's really not much else to say. I really enjoyed the album, so let's move on. And now we're going to talk about my personal favorite album of the year, After Hours by The Weeknd. And making this video really made me realize how little the amount of artists that I actually listen to regularly is, because I didn't really listen to The Weeknd either. But this album was so good, and it really got me into his music. I've had it on repeat since I listened to it for the first time. Like I have not stopped listening to it. It's an amazing album. It really brings in those 80s vibes, and it's something that's super fun to sing along to. No bad songs on this album. And I mean, my personal song on this album is Hardest to Love, but it's one of those albums where all the songs are so good. If you tell me anything else that your favorite song off this album is any other song, I wouldn't judge you. I would completely agree that that song is amazing and that it deserves to be in somebody's top, like somebody needs to have that song be their favorite because it really deserves it. I mean, this album, it's it's good for any occasion. You can listen to this while you're doing literally anything, in the car, you bumping After Hours, you'll be singing your heart out in the shower. I've played this in the shower, like I'll be singing my heart out in the shower to the enjoyment of all the shampoo bottles, you know what I'm saying? Playing video games, I mean, I do that, I listen to After Hours while playing video games. I'm addicted to this album. Amazing. Like, it's a 9 out of 10 for me. The best album of the year. And that's the last album I'll be talking about today, because I feel like I've covered a lot and the video's already like 10 minutes long. And I don't want to edit anything longer than that. So, yeah, all in all the music together ranked for 2020, I'm giving it an 8 out of 10. All right. Thank you for watching. And please like and subscribe, I guess. I'm not going to beg you to do anything, but it helped me out. And yeah, see you guys next time.